thank you for being here tonight. We're going to pick up part 18 in our Investigating Babylon series. Tonight, we're going to talk about Baaltap Towers and in what role they play in this overall grand deception that leads to Mother Babylon. So thanks for being here. And we have a lot of people already in the chats. It's pretty amazing that there's so many people that are interested in this series. And my wife, she laughs. She's like, "This is my favorite series." And I'm just sitting there going, it's fascinating stuff. It can be fascinating stuff. And I hope that I'm portraying this information to you in a way that encourages you to know your Bible better and not just get, wrapped up in what's the enemy doing next, right? Because the whole point of knowing what the enemy is doing is seeing how the Father's going to counter it, or see how you in your life and your actions can counter it. So hopefully it becomes a point of inspiration to realize, okay, there is evil being perpetrated in this world, and the Father has already told us what this is and what this looks like, and so we're kind of breaking down the enemy. But at the same time, hopefully, you guys are getting a better understanding of how to walk in the truth also as a result of this. So without further ado, guys, let us jump into our presentation tonight, because we're going to be talking about something I've mentioned many times as we've went over the last 17 parts of this presentation. And just as a refresher, there'll be 21 total parts to this presentation. But we've mentioned a few times, I think even as early as the first part, I started mentioning Baaltap Towers because we were reviewing some in the background that you could see in Dubai as we were looking at different types of tall architecture and things like that that's being built around the world. But it's not just Dubai; it's everywhere, absolutely everywhere. The Baaltap Towers. It's pretty amazing, guys. Let's look at. This is the presentation we've been doing. Okay, we're going over Mystery Babylon, or we're leading up to figuring out who is Mystery Babylon. And a lot of people have a lot of different theories and ideas. Hopefully, I'm building a very thorough, sound, scripturally accurate, historically accurate case to show you who are the players, who are the people, what is this reference in Scripture, both in Isaiah and Revelation, about Mystery Babylon, and how can we be confident in knowing what it's talking about. So this is what we're trying to do. I'm sorry. But we did 7 parts of this series in the past. We did 7 on the present. We did 7 on the future. Now, technically, or we're doing 7 on the future. Now, technically, this particular topic of Baaltap Towers could have been put into the present because we're looking at present-day architecture, but it's not just in the present day. It's actually also in the past. There's architecture in the past that also has Baaltap Towers or a semblance thereof, and it alludes to something in the future. Now, the reason why I had to wait to almost the very end of this series to talk about this is because it has so much to do with what is revealed in the future for Mother Babylon. Okay, big introduction, but let's get into it. All over the world, guys, Baaltap Towers. It's a huge thing. They're everywhere. This is this is one of the Petronas Towers. I think it's in Malaysia. And this is it's a metal encasement around the actual top of the tower. A lot of people they wonder, does it have some sort of communication property? Is it some sort of secret energy weapon? Honestly, guys, I'm gonna hate to burst your bubble, but when I show you what I'm gonna try to show and walk you through tonight, it doesn't have any advanced. There's no Tesla tech involved. We went over to the Vajra idea in part 2 of this series, and we talked about that. This is much more symbolic, not just in its placement, but in its meaning, and we'll get into it. So this is the Petronas Towers. As you can see, 2 similarly built towers that both have these balls on top, or just the shape of a sphere on the top of them. Here's in China. I think this is in Shanghai. Huge, multiple spheres, 3 of them that you can easily see of this architectural overlook. And actually, look to the bottom right as well. I think I have these further on the slide as a bigger picture, but you can see these 2 spheres on the ground as well. So we're going to get into how these are on top of buildings everywhere, but they're also a huge architectural piece that is used symbolically in other things. And I think you guys will be pretty interested once we get to the end of it. Here's another building in China with put up a sphere ball on the top of it. This is not a water tower. Many of these are decorative. Many of these are not observation towers. Many of these have no communication abilities built into them secretly by the state or even by local radio and TV companies. Many of these are simply decorative, and you'll see what I mean as we keep going. So here's another observation tower. I think this is actually in Ontario, Canada. Oh, no, wait. I can't remember where this particular one's from, but this one's in Ontario, Canada. This is in Dubai. This is one that we noticed in the background of one of our episodes in part 1. This is Dubai. This is at Mecca in Saudi Arabia. So this is a massive building, guys. This is what I think they call this the Kingdom Clock Tower or something like that. And it's actually got a jewel encrusted sphere, blue sphere that's wrapped almost like a Russian Easter egg with nice gold around it. It's wrapped underneath this spire that leads up to the crescent moon of Islam. So this is at the top as well. So the point is, this is not even just cultural. This is not, I've already shown you Malaysia, China, Canada. This is Saudi Arabia. And this one's directly tied to their religion, because as we've been discussing throughout all this, it's all the same religion. They just have different maskings, different names throughout different cultures. This particular Kingdom Tower is massive. It's one of the biggest building structures in the world. It's as you can see, I think it's like 100 stories at the top, but so that means the other stories next to it are huge, like 50, 60 stories. It's massive. Here's a building in Detroit with the ball top on top. Now this one is put on top of a radio system. As you can see, they put cell towers all around it as well in recent years. Here's another one that's on like an observation tower. I believe this is in Dallas. Not a radio system. Decorative observation tower. Here's another one. Not an observatory. It's not a stellarium. It's not a telescope. It's just a decorative ball on top of a big building. This one is super creepy. This is in Riyadh. I believe it's Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Not only is it encased in a sphere-like concept, kind of like we saw at the tips of the Vajras, but across the city is like another shaped building that if you line them up, it looks just like Lord of the Rings. It's wild. It looks just like Mount Doom and the Eye of Sauron. It's crazy. It's like they were fans of Tolkien or something and the architects decided to build this concept inside Riyadh, but people didn't know it. But point is, here's another decorative, non-observatory, enclosed, silver, goldish looking ball on top of a building. Now this, guys, this is interesting. This is a new project that went up in Las Vegas recently. And this is it's a big movie theater, basically. And from what I understand, the outside of it has this screen ability where it can look like a TV screen. They can project stuff on the inside and on the outside of the screen, which is really crazy. All right, this is very interesting, guys. Look how beautiful this well-designed and well-built city is. Any guesses in the live chat tonight? Any guess of what city this is that you're looking at? I doubt anyone will guess. I doubt anyone will guess it right. Oh, I know there's a small delay. I'll give it just 1 minute. People are guessing Dubai. No. People are guessing the Vatican. No. Look at this well-designed, very modern city. Someone else is guessing it's in India. No, it's not. All right, guys. I'll just go ahead and tell you. I think this was in Kazakhstan. You ever heard of Kazakhstan? Not many people understand or know where it is. This is in Kazakhstan. There's that ball top tower right down the center colonnade, taken from this prestigious house. Look at this. And that's the domed tower, which looks like a Capitol building with the blue dome on top. That was the doorway at the bottom, was where that picture was taken, looking across the colonnade to this dome top tower here on the right-hand side of the screen. Now, let's just take a look and just take in everything in this photo. Look at this photo, guys. Look at this. This is insanity. In the far backdrop, you've got a ball top tower on a large sphere, or a large, just a tower behind the pyramid. So they got the pyramid. They got the downward triangle accentuated in the top of the pyramid within the pyramid. They've got a ball top tower under the eagle, under the sunburst. You go across the courtyard and you get to which is the president's house, and he's got the dome with the obelisk. We talked about that in episode 8 and 9. He's got the ball top tower on top of the obelisk. Left and right of the colonnades, you've got more obelisk-like structures with obelisk-like towers on top of them. And then you've got this bursting, upheld and supported, enclosed gold ball sitting across the way. This is crazy, guys. This is craziness. All of them together. This is the backside view of that same president's quarters. We're actually going to skip that clip because I'll get copywritten. I'll try to take this down. So this is what we see, this symbolism in modern depictions of cinema and movies. This is a very overlooked movie. I think a lot of people didn't really appreciate this movie because it just seemed like to rehash some ideas from the early 1950s and 60s from Disney, but then aren't realizing what they're looking at. This is a Disney movie from 2015 called Tomorrowland, and this is George Clooney. I don't know the other actresses on the left, but as you can see, this George Clooney on the right. And as you can see in the backdrop, there's a futuristic city with a ball next to the top spire of the largest tower. Okay. So this particular photo, or this city, was called the Tomorrow World. And this is basically, they only could get there. It was actually invisible. It was actually always there. It was just invisible to the naked eye. You just had to have the right symbol that she had, this little emblem in her hand that she held to touch, and it would allow her to see this invisible place. I think that was very interesting with what we're going to be revealing once we get to part 20. In the back, though, this futuristic city with this extremely large tower that stretched to the sky above all the others has a ball up towards the top of it. And this ball played an important role in the movie. This particular ball, it's supposed to be electromagnetically held to the side of this massive tower in the middle. So it's suspended in the air. It's throughout the whole movie. And at the end of the movie, they go inside the ball. That's the whole escalating concept of the movie, is that the ball controlled reality. And that's what they learn at the end of the movie. Now, look here does anyone notice anything unique about this poster? This is like one of those games. What shouldn't be there? What's out of place about this poster? What's not right about this poster? Can anyone guess? Put it in the comments, the chat. What is this poster not supposed to have? Yeah, Miss Marcia already got it. It's got 2 moons. The only thing is, Marcia, just like Obi-Wan says, that's no moon. So the moon is in the foreground. The moon is front and center at the top right. What's this thing above the tower? Here is the actual visual designer of the movie and his personal creations for the movie that were released online as he was being interviewed. And this was what he depicted for the tower and the ball that would be electronically linked, electromagnetically linked to this tower. This is what and what's interesting is he claims that this was something that consumed him for years to try to figure out how to design this. So even in the photo stills that they're trying to promote the movie, because they want people to go buy tickets, so they're taking all these different shots of Clooney and then Photoshop it into different parts of the movie. It's in all of them, all the posters of the movie. It's a little bit closer view. What's interesting is that, and look at this depiction, because this is similar to the artist depiction that we saw earlier. One of the images that wasn't released. This one right here. Hard to see from this angle, but the bottom of it you can see better as it has turned a little bit in this picture, and it actually looks like an eye. This here, we're going to talk about this towards the end. This is another one of the posters for the movie, and they've got the Tomorrowland, the circle being dramatized with what they call a space symbol, but there's something more to it, putting that ball in the center of the image. So back to Las Vegas. In Las Vegas, they have this arena, and this isn't the only one in the world. They're building other ones like these around the world, where you can see inside and out of it. Supposedly, you can see the external, can promote pictures and advertisements and things, and then inside of it's like a huge domed shape video screen, right? They'll have concerts. Totally immersed is what they call it. And I believe this is the one in London as well. This is also the one that they've just finished construction, I believe, in London. It was supposed to go up in 2019. It got halted, and then I think they just finished construction over the past 2 years on this one as well. That's why they keep showing these different ideas of it having the outside of it as a picture, like it's a video screen, because it's supposed to be like a big video screen. So here's in London's large architecture. Here's the sphere that we just saw on screen that is being, compared to with height. So it's a big arena. I think it holds like 13,000 people. This is the interior design, the stadium inside the sphere, just a big TV screen to indoctrinate you better, right? So this is also in Greenwich, London. This is the Greenwich, they call it the time ball. Do you guys know that's been here for hundreds of years? The Greenwich time ball. You guys know that Greenwich is like the actual marking line, if you will, I believe, for one of the time zones. So this is the Greenwich time ball, which leads us to another time ball. This is going to be New York City's most worldwide famous celebration of New Year's Eve and the big ball drop that they have every year. There's a ball on top of a pillar that gets dropped every year for New Year's Eve. Big celebration, big deal. Why do they care about a ball drop? Why a ball drop? How does that relate to the new year? Why does it even matter? Here's another architectural design of a sphere. I think this one's in Japan. Here is another one. I believe this one was in Italy. No, this was actually in Dubai. It's one of the conference centers in Dubai, another big sphere. This one is unique, guys. This is actually the Academy Awards Museum in Hollywood. Now, what's unique about this is not only is it a sphere design, but its actual design, the designer of it, inside this museum, he's got images from an anime cartoon that we talked about a couple of episodes back when we talked about the automatons. We talked about the image of the beast. And we looked at this book, this famous book that became the ideas taken from Gulliver's Travels that was turned into an anime. I think it was 1984, about this young girl and a robot, and it's like an anime issue. She's a witch, and she can fly to the city that has this robot, comes down from the city, and there's multiple robots in the city, this floating city. That's where he got the design for the Academy Awards Museum building in Hollywood. And he even, supposedly, according to the article I read, he even pays homage to that anime by putting images up from the anime in the museum. Of all the animes in all the world, that's the one he loves. That's the one he builds a building after. Very interesting. Here's more architecture. I'm not sure exactly which city this one is in. Here's another one. This one, I believe this one is it's in China, actually. I can't remember the name of the city in China, but this is in China. Don't remember what this one was. This is the artist's depiction of one that they're building, I think, in Germany. I think. Yeah, see someone in the comments saying, yeah, they're remembering me talking about that anime a few weeks back. Um, and I apologize, not all these episodes are linked every week or every, you're not it takes me time to get together the right presentation in the right way and make sure I've got all the bases covered. But the overall outline I've had for this whole time, so therefore it's just, I know that you guys are just getting this information a piece at a time, and sometimes there's several weeks in between, but all of it is connected. So when I'm done after 21 parts, you can go back and just literally watch them all. I'll put in a playlist. You can just watch them all in succession, and you'll see that all this information is connected. That's why I can't just do one show and tell you who Mother Babylon is. We got to go through history, through the Bible. We got to go through medicine. We got to go through all kinds of imagery and propaganda and predictive programming because it's everywhere. So, and then, once we get to the actual revelation of it, to how it's taken care of and what happens in Revelation, that's all this is going to make sense more of why the world glorifies the sphere. This is the new Apple. I believe this one is in Paris. I think it's in Paris. It's a new Apple store. This is an actual store, supposedly. And you walk out on the bridge to it. Yeah. Here's another. I can't remember exactly what building this was about. If it's, I don't think it's an observatory. It's like a factory of some sort. But yep, it's a big sphere that they decided to build out of it. Here's more. Remember, we looked earlier in China, the multiple spheres. So this is the ones on the ground next to the observatory in China, the multiple spheres. There's 3 of them. They've even painted the world on these spheres. Think about this, guys. What we're looking at is the glorification of the sphere to the point of it's shared by the world. And this isn't just something that, this modern architecture that the world believes is a sphere. Therefore, they think it's a fun shape to start building stuff out of. No, it's not the shape of the land that they're glorifying. Here's another one. I can't remember exactly what this one was. It's actually a piece of architecture in the center of a town square. I think it was in Bolivia. This one is in, I want to say Peru. I apologize. I don't remember all the I think this one was in Peru. Or no, this one was in Italy. So you've got the obelisk next to the big sphere. This is Epcot. Everyone knows about Epcot in the United States. The big sphere. This one was crazy. This one made me laugh. I was just, all these other ones are symbolic. They lift them with the building or, with stilts or on the top of the obelisk. This one literally is suspended with wires in the center of a town square in New Zealand. It's a floating sphere in New Zealand. That's the artwork. Oh, by the way, look at that. There's a pyramid behind it. What are the chances? Do you guys remember when we looked at that Kazakhstan, the huge complex in Kazakhstan with that gold ball at the end of the colonnade, with its flowering up pushing architecture at the base of the sphere of the tower, lifting up the sphere? Well, look in the background at the 2 lights left and right of the pyramid. It's the same design. This is in New Zealand. This is not Kazakhstan. This is in New Zealand. The suspended sphere, similar architecture next to a pyramid. Yes, Colin, I am sphere mongering. Absolutely. I'm trying to make you afraid of this sphere because it is a point of indoctrination, and they're putting in your face where the source of the indoctrination is coming from. That's what we're going to get to in part 20. This is one of the Capitol buildings. I can't remember exactly which state. They're on almost all the Capitol buildings in the United States, in each state. Spheres everywhere. Everywhere. They're up there. This one's even decorative on left and right on multiple places, even the base sides of the steps. They're everywhere on all of them. There's so many of them. It's everywhere. It's uniformed. It's uniform, guys. And of course, we know this same type of architecture. This is why it's so interesting. Look at all this architecture. Look, these are all these Capitol buildings. It's all this Greek historic architecture. A lot of people will be like, well, some of that's Roman, guys. The Romans just took over the Greeks. The same architecture, same gods they worship. It's the same concept. Look at all this. No, I don't believe in Tartaria. No, I don't. I'm not. People can still build these today. They can still build these today. It's not a big deal. They build them in different places all the time. This is an homage to that ancient architecture. And the ball at the top is the same type of homage, just like the dome, just like the columns, just like the flower designs on the columns that represented Osiris's favorite tree, Apollyon's favorite tree. All of it, guys. Here's more. Here's more. All over the world, domes, balls on top of the domes, Greek architecture. It's all the same. It's all the same all over the world. It's the same religion they're worshiping, and they show it to you in what they build because it's their representation of worship to what they have allegiance to. And unfortunately, it's not your constitution. All over the world. Balls on top everywhere. Everywhere. And they put them on the ground, like we talked about. This one is, I think this one was out in front of the World Trade Center before it was destroyed. And I'll show it to you. They kept it. They kept it. After it's destroyed, I'll show it to you. This one was a art piece that was celebrated in the late 1970s, early 80s in Chicago. People came out and took all these big pictures with it. Just big black ball, just a big sphere, just a big black sphere that they put out in front of the History Museum or the Art Museum in Chicago. Everyone thought it was a big deal. So cool. Got all this press. Just a big black sphere. Oh, here's another big black sphere where I used to live in this town called Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I've actually seen this thing, and because I used to work downtown, and I thought it was super creepy. So if you can see here on the left-hand side, I'll move my screen off here, so you can see on the left-hand side at the bottom. This is below what they call the Williams Tower. It's a 60-story building with this open courtyard out in the front where they have this statue of the sphere. And then, as you can see in the pictures, around the sphere are these statues of people that are made out of bronze, and there's different age groups and different male and female fathers, grandfathers, different ethnicities that are represented with these statues, and they're all facing the sphere in adulation and worship. They're facing the black globe in adulation and worship. It's super creepy. Super creepy, guys. I noticed it before I even understood what I'm sharing with you tonight. I noticed it back in the day. Yeah, these are the people. These are the little. I wish you could see all of them. I couldn't find a picture that shows all of them because there's some that are literally raising their hands to it. Here's another sphere art display that someone jumped on top of, doing a prank. Suddenly, what have I been telling you guys about ancient Greece? All this architecture, how it's all the same. Look at Atlas. What's Atlas doing up there at the top of the pyramid? Holding up the sphere. Everyone knows about Atlas, ancient Greece, one of the gods that was commissioned to hold up the world. Look at him. What's he doing up there? Why is he holding up this sphere? The sphere of heaven is what they would call it. The one with the stars wrapped around it. Here's Atlas down here in below one of the buildings in New York City. Holding up the sphere everywhere. Atlas is a popular guy, isn't he? He's everywhere. Here are the Golden Globes. Spheres on towers. Golden Globes. Remember what we were looking at earlier about the gold? How many of these spheres on top of these architecture in these cities were gold? It's interesting. Here's an old burial plot that someone put up for a Masonic lodge. You got the balls on top of the towers, the two towers, and the Masonic symbolism. Oh, so now we see that it's more than just similarity in architectural choice. We see it in history. We see it in what many people call modern history, the rise of the Freemasons. We see it in their artwork in the last 400 or 500 years. Here it is in more of their drawing boards, Masonic artwork. Here it is on one of their aprons, spheres on top of the pillars. And what's interesting, guys, I want you to notice real quick, they also have a sun and moon on the left-hand side of the sunburst in the middle. What's that sunburst in the middle? It's not the sun. Sun's on the left. Same thing with this. You get the spheres that one they call the sphere of the earth, one's the sphere of the heaven in their minds, what they're trying to say. Then they got the moon and the sun on each side with the eye coming down from above. Now look real quick, guys. Look at the eye coming down from above. Look at the rays coming out of the eye and not the sun. This is why they call it the all-seeing eye. This one's you got the spheres on top of the pillars. Similarly to the object at the top center, it is not the sun, it is not the moon, but it is shining. Here it is again. Now there's no sun and moon now. This is the only thing shining with the spheres on top of the pillars. It's even on their rings. Spheres on top of pillars, sun and moon, some kind of black dot inside of the pyramid at the top. It's even in medieval Baroque paintings. Did you guys know that they painted black spheres underneath crowns, doing the occultic Baphomet poses with their fingers? Yeah, even in Baroque, I should say, occult. And this one's more Renaissance. This particular one, I can't remember their names. But these French and Italian artists. He's holding the black sphere. What's the deal? All throughout history and time, just holding the black sphere. You guys, here's another dude supposed to have the sunburst coming out from behind his head. Got his hand on the sphere. Looks like this one actually looks like Han Solo coming out of the carbonite. All right, so now you have a depiction of this. Is I don't believe this depiction, but this is just what was painted by the artist. The angels in heaven attending to Mary as she comes up to God and Jesus the Son. And Jesus the Son in this particular one is holding a sphere in his hand. It looks like it's clear, almost like a crystal ball, right? Here it is again, more Catholic imagery from the Renaissance period. Now the cross is planted on top of the sphere. Here's a black sphere. Another painting. I can't remember this guy, the guy who painted it, but another depiction. They're basically just stealing Jesus's image and ideas and putting in their occultic nonsense like they always do. Here's another one. Oh, now he's got a huge wooden cross on it. Oh, but now here's a sphere on top of Ra's head. They call him the sun god. But remember what the Masons showed us, the same ones who were birthed out of Egyptian ideology, the same Masons who believe the Egyptian lore so much so that a part of their indoctrination ceremonies at the higher levels is to tell these people with Egyptian iconography what they believe the name of God is. And in Egyptian iconography, they had this thing, this disc, wrapped with a serpent on top of Ra's head. Ra was the symbol, the character, the hawk-headed god that was considered the head patron god of ancient Egypt, which the Hebrews would have called Ra Satan. Here it is again on top of Ra's head. We talked about this previously when we went over some ideas. I think it was part 7. I think it was in part 7. It's everywhere. Now there's 2 spheres. It's on both of 2 different types of representations of Ra. Here it is with what I would guess is either a servant or it looks like a pharaoh, like a pharaonic headdress, walking up to Isis. She's also got the Apis bull horns with the sphere in the center that represented Ra. And then Ra himself has a sphere over his head. So if the sphere was supposed to represent Ra, why is Ra carrying the sphere? Why is it always associated with him and everybody else? Now, here's Ra underneath the sphere. The sphere is wrapped in a serpent, but the sphere also has a node in the center to represent something else. We're going to go in this much deeper in next episode as we review. We do our double header. We'll do part 19 and part 20 at the same time, and we'll be talking about the Eye of Ra and eclipses, and then we'll go into part 20 on the same night. I might take like a 10-minute break in between, and then we'll be talking about Mother Babylon, the Dragon's Lair, because I can't do those two separately. It's too much information, and it's like I said, it's all the same information. But as far as that presentation style, like I can't just give you part 19 and leave you hanging. I have to talk about it all at the same time. And now we have the imagery of the black sun. And this is what it's always been about, guys, just like it was a black ball. It's the same imagery. It's the sphere that represents the black sun. What is the black sun? And why is this death character holding the crow, which is representation of death? Nurgle, we talked about the second beast, right? A few episodes back. So that's the same concept. And he's a place where angels can fly. He's in the sky, standing on the black sphere. But what's going on with this black sphere? Because it looks like it's shining like the sun. Well, that's crazy. I wonder if a darkened black spherical object, I wonder what that would look like in the sky next to the sun. It's interesting. Oh, here it is, a more Freemason Masonic imagery of their two pillars. I think they call them Joe. I can't remember what they call the pillars. Two names. We got the spheres, but now you've got the sphere of the dark circle in the center of the sun. Here is German Aryan SS occult religious iconography, where they chose to put the black sun in the center of their crests, their insignia, their flags, and it is supposed to be the center apex of the design. It's the black sun, and there's even a Black Sun Lodge. It's called the Black Sun Lodge, the Ordo Templi Orientis. I didn't say that right, but it's also an entire lodge dedicated to the black sun. It's pretty weird, huh? It seems like a lot of effort. Why would they do that? You guys remember I talked about at the base of the World Trade Center, there was a silver decorative ball. Well, before that ball was destroyed, this architectural sculpture was put up, and this, I believe, is in Japan. Not New York City, Japan. It's a big sphere that's been partially destroyed. Did you guys ever see Return of the Jedi Part 3? Return of the Jedi, Star Wars Part 3? Where the whole movie, the Death Star, is partially destroyed. It's actually partially built, but it looks like there's a big chunk taken out of it. Here's another same idea of what's supposed to represent a sphere with a highly internal mechanical structure that looks like it has a bunch of gears and cogs as a piece of artwork in Germany. That's weird. And here we have in New York City. They broken and destroyed. They cleaned it up. It's dented. I don't think it's destroyed. I think they just pulled out the actual one that matches the other ones around the world. They pulled out this artistic piece that looks like a machine that is a sphere itself. Do you guys remember when we talked about the image of the beast and we talked about certain movies? About how Darth Vader comes from a big sphere. About how on that movie, The Day the World Stood Still with Keanu Reeves, he's an alien that shows up in a big sphere, ominous looking sphere. And just for fun, guys, just so you don't think I'm just stretching, right? Just so you don't think I'm just pulling this stuff and stretching this. You're like, okay, well, I see. Yeah, you mentioned China and Kazakhstan and Italy and Paris and London and the United States, and you mentioned all these places around the world that share this type of architecture. But it's not just maybe they just like maybe just pretty, maybe just want to do this, just an excuse to spend money in the arts, right? Beautify the city a little bit. This is in the courtyard of the Vatican. What is the destroyed ball, and this one is amped up. This is more detailed, intricate than any of the other ones in Japan and Germany and New York City. A gold destroyed ball that has another ball inside of it that's destroyed, and all of it looks like an advanced machine with internal wheels and cogs. So we're going to go over in part 19, we're going to go over the Eye of Ra and eclipses. So this is going to be something that's going to wrap up this idea of this sphere that we see everywhere and why it's so important to the occult, what it matters to them, why they worship it. And then in part 20, we're going to look at Mother Babylon, which is the dragon's lair. And we're going to talk about identifying the actual home, if you will, of Satan. Where's he hanging out? Yes, I know a lot of people say, well, 1 Peter 2, he's like a roaring lion. It's roaming the earth, seeking whom he may devour. You think he just constantly walks around, never sleeps, never stops, never has a place where he just plans other things? Think he's just always on the go? No. Everyone has a home.